Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Today, I have Octavia Vasile once again to talk to us about meditation and manifesting, and who knows what else will come in through there. How are you doing, Octavia?
Hi, I'm happy to see you, and I'm glad to be here today.
I am very excited because this is something I wanted to talk about. And as you know, again, thanks to you, I am in this place, in this perfect place in life right now. So I want to help people achieve that and get to where I am. And I think this will help them a lot. So let's get started.
Well, I would firstly say that you are where you are for thanks to yourself, because you have done all the you have put all the inner effort, and you have done everything that you could do to make yourself feel better and to experience your reality in a different way, and so on. So it's all your inner work, and it's usually the inner work of everyone else. So I'm very happy to yeah, I'm very happy to be here today, and also to know that you're experiencing that you're actually doing it.
Yes, it's awesome.
Mhm. So we were saying that we would explore a bit more the topic of meditation, intentional thinking, and manifestation. And just before we started the interview, I was sharing that I just met a really nice research center with psychologists and neurologists and so on, who are very much focused nowadays to observe if there is any correlation in between meditation as a tool and the way people achieve their goals. Let's call it like this, because maybe manifestation is a bit too subjective or so on, but the way people reach their goals. And well, in spirituality we would say, or some people call it, synchronicities or projection, or so on. So I think it's a very interesting topic, actually, um, to observe if there is any connection in between the ones who meditate and the way they manifest. It's almost like observing if there is any connection between mind and matter. And that's a really, really interesting topic for me. And I am so grateful. I'm so happy to know that there are people out there who actually do it, and they bring their intentions, they bring their resources together, and they focus to prove it. So, or at least to check it and to see which are the results there.
Yeah.
So I would also share about this on this topic today. And yeah, let's see why meditation is such an amazing instrument, what it does to the brain, and why we meditate, and what are actually the actual effects.
Yes, and it's not what people think, right? I want them to know before they turn off this video and go, "Oh, I don't manifest." No, 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 you guys. This is going to really tell you what meditation is, and it's not what you think. So, go ahead, Octavia.
So I would start with saying that meditation was not really created as a tool for manifestation. Manifestation is just a secondary effect of it. It's just something that we are going to notice that it happens, and how it changes, but it's not really the goal of true meditators. And the goal is always to slow down the mind, to feel more peace, and ultimately to let go of any identification that says, I am this body, I am this person, I am this name, all the identification with the form and name. And that's the aim of the meditation, which means that in the same time, one lets go of any dual perception. So that's the true goal of meditation. It's only that on the way there are different changes that happen, there are different things that most of the meditators will observe them, will notice them immediately. And it's really useful to talk about these things, because I've realized recently that they can motivate one to meditate. They can determine one to maybe make out of meditation a stable practice instead of doing it maybe once in a while and see what happens. Um, and it's a great tool for bringing more peace, peace within, peace without ourselves as well. And it always starts from here, because if there is confusion and agitation in the mind and so on, definitely it will create conflict. And definitely that conflict will be seen inwards. And in the same time, we can see it anyway in our, in our realities. So whenever we wish to bring that peace, we bring it right from within. And the most important step is to actually gather our attention, which is not very simple, to gather our attention and to bring it from that which is not real, which is a projection, which is what we perceive through our five senses, to bring it back home within ourselves and on that which we actually wish to create. And when I say it's not easy, well, it's not easy because our attention is stolen all the time. It goes into that and it goes into that and it goes into social media and friends and what this person does and what the other does and the job and children and so on. But it never really stays here in the heart. And it doesn't stay here in a useful way, in that way in which we have control upon what happens here. And because of this, we usually see so much conflict or chaos in the world or so on, because what we create from within is not really created with awareness. It's not created mindfully. So if we wish to start doing so, as I said, the first step is to bring the attention inwards and then to keep it there. And to keep it there, it actually means to change a very serious, a very old condition of the mind. And that is allowing the mind to go everywhere and to wander away however it wishes to, and to actually focus it on that which one wishes to create.
And it
And
just
that,
reminded me of a toddler. When a toddler is bugging you and bugging you and bugging you, but then you tell the toddler, "Oh, what's this over here?" And you move their attention to what you want them to do, and then it all changes. It's almost like a toddler. That's so funny.
well, just that unfortunately, this is quite like how our society works.
Hmm.
And it tells you, look there, look there, look there, and there, and this advertisement, and this social media, and this and that. And unfortunately, our attention goes there very fast.
Yeah.
And then it goes there and there and there and there, but it doesn't really stay where we want it to stay. And definitely it doesn't stay on that which is positive and allows us to create further, to reach our purposes as we wish to. And nowadays there are so many people talking about procrastination and as an issue in their life and why it happens and how to correct that. And there are many psychologists coming in with all kind of techniques. But unfortunately, it's procrastination. It's also an effect of something, and it's that effect of a well-trained wandering mind. Because if the attention doesn't really stay focused on anything more than 8 seconds, how the studies show nowadays, it definitely means that it will not stay focused and help you to reach your purpose, whatever purpose might be there. So to start with, I would say that one of the most important things is to train the attention, Because what we seem to do nowadays, at the moment, in year 2023, we seem to decrease our attention more and more. And you're going to get this information if you check the latest studies on this topic, and talk with scientists and psychologists and so on. And unfortunately, the result is that our attention decreases. And you'll see it in all the people who are diagnosed with ADHD and so on. And this happens because it's very much sent. Our attention is very much sent where we don't need it, when it doesn't really create something. Moreover, not only that it's sent there, but we have this amazing expectation of multitasking, which is just an expectation because the human mind cannot do it. And it's proven scientifically that the mind can do only one task at a point. It can do only one thing. But we try somehow to do multitasking, and what happens is that the mind jumps from here to here to here very fast. It changes the topic very fast. It gives the sensation that you're multitasking, but actually you're losing your attention every time when you're shifting the task, which at the end of the day, it creates a lot of moments in which you have shifted your attention and you have actually lost your attention. You have diminished it.
Wow.
And this is what happens since we started, to use our technologies in this way. And
Yeah.
I would say that it's amazing to be able to do what we do nowadays by using our computers and using the latest software and the AI and so on. It's just amazing. It's just that if we don't use it wisely and we keep multitasking and we keep going into that direction, actually we diminish our attention so much that not only we will not be able to manifest our purposes, but we also create quite some unhappiness in our life. And this is because obviously if we cannot really be focused for a few seconds, being focused, feeling what we feel, being present, it won't help one to feel real happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So I would start with that, and I would say, let's pay attention to what is actually important for us. And let's see how we have created this very good pattern, good in brackets, this very good pattern of diminishing our attention, and how we get out of it. Because then we start meditating, and during meditation, we see that it's not easy at all. It seems that the mind is jumping everywhere. And it seems that it's such a conditioning, and it seems so natural. Now you sit in meditation and you see your mind going there and there and there and there, and then I don't know, 20 thoughts per 20 seconds or more or so on. And it's definitely not something that it should happen. So let's not assume that it's normal. Let's not assume that that's it. This is my mind and it just jumps around and I cannot do anything with it and that's it. Because it can be done, and that condition can change.
Yeah, I did it. I did it.
And that definitely there are so many people who can do it. And there are so many people who can put their mind in order, and they can work with their minds as a creation tool. And they can reach their purposes in life, and they can stay focused, and they can remain present. And this of course will have so much benefits throughout their whole life. So I would say, yeah, let's start with the attention, but let's not start with meditation. Let's start with what we do wrong, that we diminish our attention continuously.
Mm-hmm.
Because if what we do wrong, we do it all the time, and then we sit for half an hour in meditation, that will not be very useful. So I would say that first thing is multitasking. Even if you're, eating in front of your computer while you're watching a movie, even if you're just having 20 tabs open, looking for an information or trying to put something together, in any way in which you're doing it, multitasking is actually shown to diminish the attention. And this is because the human mind, the human brain is not really objectively, is not able to do multitasking. It's able to focus on one task at a time, not more. And it just shifts the attention throughout all the tasks that you're trying to accomplish in the same time, which means it shifts the attention from one topic to another, and it diminishes the attention every time when it does it. Like imagine yourself, reading an article about animals and then reading another one, or in the same time, an article on psychology, and then having another tab open with another kind of article. And now imagine your mind having to shift through all this different information that barely has anything in common, remaining perfectly attentive. It doesn't happen. And this kind of shifts, this kind of very frequent, very often shifts, actually generates this overthinking mind. And of course, there are many other causes. For example, the lack of sleep, and the fact that human beings actually started to sleep less and less. During the around 25 years, our rate of sleep, inclusive the rate of sleep for children, has diminished. So that's
Oh,
another
wow.
very important, it's another very important factor. And I would say, yes, let's try to keep our attention as healthy as it can be. And first, let's try to cut off all those things, that all those variables that influence our attention, and diminish it. So then we don't spend 2 hours in meditation in which we struggle continuously.
So what do people do when they're, am I getting ahead by asking this question? So what should people do when they're having all these thoughts in meditation?
Well, I would say meditation is a tool for observing, for teaching one, or creating a good support or environment for one to observe whatever happens in the present moment. So if there are thoughts, and there are many thoughts, one would observe them as they are, as they come and go. And one would stay focused on their impermanent nature, noticing that one thought comes and another thought disappear, and this process seems to be ongoing. And it seems to be, it seems that we can be able to detach from it. It seems that we can allow this process to happen without really engaging and without really believing the thinking. So that would be the first step in meditation, be to sit in meditation and to observe whatever happens in the present moment. And there will be thoughts, there will be emotions, there will be sensations in the body. And it's just about observing everything as it is, from that role of the observer, instead of observing from that role of being identified with the body and the person. So in the beginning, when we start meditating, we just notice whatever is there. We allow the mind to go on. We leave the thoughts to come and go as they do naturally, but we learn not to follow them. We learn not to engage with them. We learn that a thought that comes and goes has no power, but a thought in which we believe has all the power to create something. So I would say that this difference is the first thing that we learn, is that if we don't wish to create something in a certain direction, then we allow thoughts to come and go as they are. When we wish to create something, then we use the mind as a tool for creation, which means that those thoughts will not be just random thoughts. There will be intentional thoughts, which means I have this thought because I wish to create something through it. And that's very different from I just allow the mind to wander away all day long, for all my attention to go there and to get really tired, and, having the mind full of worries and so on. So that's a huge difference. And that's the difference of being really happy and enjoying the present moment, and being there in your mind. and being tired and being frustrated and not being present and always being somewhere else. That's a huge difference. And I know that maybe the majority of people do not see it, but it's a difference that somehow and happily more and more people, started to study it. They started to get into the background of meditation and the results that come with meditation. And hopefully we are getting further and further into determining, motivating people to actually do it.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk about it as well, because I do feel that it's such a huge topic that people don't understand how important it is. They keep blowing it off like, oh, I can't do it because my mind's always going on. No, 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 stop, stop, stop. That's okay,
Yeah.
just take it baby steps. But this is so critical to your life changing and getting to where you need to go. I would not be where I am now if I wouldn't have gone meditating, if I wouldn't do my meditation morning and night and just be very rigid about meditation. I started getting up early in the morning when I was working just to meditate. It was that important to me.
Yeah, of course, and I usually share this information with so many people that once they do it, and once they do it just for a few months, and they see the difference, they wouldn't really stop it anymore. Then meditation becomes, like food and like any other necessity, and it's really like this. Like once you see the difference in the clarity of the mind, in being joyful, in being present, in how the mind manages to make the connections in between things and how creative it can become, and so much more, you wouldn't stop it anymore. You wouldn't stop it. It would be, like living in a one room flat, which is very dusty and dirty and so on. And then let's say you just grow out of that and you'll manage to live in a beautiful house with a very nice garden and so on. You wouldn't go back. You wouldn't go back to the dirty and dusty one room flat. So it's quite the same thing. It's just people do not have this comparison until they actually get to have a stable meditation practice. And to get to have a stable meditation practice, they need to get over that sensible and maybe difficult point in the beginning. And then once they get over that, once they train their minds to actually sit in meditation, once they decide that they will not stand up because their mind tells you, but because the alarm rings, that's a very different thing.
Yeah.
And once they start doing for 1 hour per day, morning and evening, and they start observing the results in time, that then it's really not something to stop. It's not something that you wish to change anymore.
And you know what? The best thing I love about meditation is if I have a problem, the answer always comes to me when I'm meditating. If I ever have something's going on and I meditate, boom, the answer every time. It's like, and it's a perfect answer every time. It's channeled. I know it comes from a different place. I love meditating when I have a problem because it's the answer always comes
Well,
clear.
it's definitely the solution is within yourself. It doesn't come from anyone else. But what actually happens is that sometimes the mind gets stuck, and it says, I cannot do it anymore, or I don't know, or this is the only solution. The victimhood state will say this is the only solution. And then once the mind creates these programs, then you don't really get it out of there.
Mhm.
And then when one doesn't meditate, doesn't bring clarity there, doesn't create some inner space, then the mind goes on with, I cannot do it, there is no solution, this is all that I can do, and so on. And then that's why for meditators, there are so many solutions, always.
Yeah.
There is so much creativity to be explored. There are so many things that can be done. And that's the huge difference. Because for a meditator, when one says, I have this problem, then as you say, the solution comes up, and it comes up from the mind, where to come up from. But it comes up from a clear, steady mind.
Hmm.
Instead of, I have this problem, so I'm just going to keep focusing on this problem forever, as the mind usually does it, or it gets
Hmm.
stuck for longer periods of time, and then it just gets focused on the problem again and again, until at one point probably something comes in and it blocks the mind, or somehow a solution is found. But why to go through all this process, and why to lose such important time of our lives doing so, just allowing the mind to create its own illusionary issues, and looking at all these illusionary problems without finding any solution. So it's really a pity, because there is so much space for creativity, and there are so many possibilities for everything to happen in the most amazing way. But if the mind says, no, I cannot, or it's not possible, then definitely it won't happen. So this is one of those first things that come into to meditators, and probably that's why you would see most of the meditators being really joyful and peaceful and so on, because they know that there is always a solution. There is
Yeah.
always a solution. They know that it's always something else to do. There is always a new pathway. There is always a new project to try out. There is always someone else to help and support and be in service for humanity and so on. And that's the big difference, because there is no more mind program or mind pattern that runs and says, well, I cannot, or I have problems, or that's it. Such conditioning, such program is not there anymore, and the mind is open, and it's open to manifest, and it's open to manifest in amazing ways, in ways that resonate with the heart and with our intuition as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Something that has helped me in the past too, when there is a lot of thought, is to literally write down, close your eyes and start meditating. And if a thought comes in, write it down. Just write down what it is and get it out of here into whatever, outside of here, right? So write it down. And same thing. And the more you do that, the less thoughts you will have, because you'll be like, well, I already thought about that. That's not, it doesn't appear in the mind once you take it out of the
Definitely. And it's a very useful process anyway. I think I've channeled this many times, that when we actually write it down, we can recognize those beliefs or programs or mind patterns, as we wish to name them. And then when they pop up in the mind the next time and the next time and so on, we can easily cancel them by going back to our inner wisdom, by observing, is this program serving me or not? And if the program doesn't serve me, then let's see if there is any emotion which does attach to it. And if there is an emotion, let's watch the emotion and release the program. Because if it doesn't serve me, why to carry it with me? Why to keep creating upon it?
mind. Yeah.
No,
And it's
because
coming up for a reason. It's coming up for a reason too.
definitely, and it's very useful that it all these old tendencies of the mind come up, so we can actually select them, we can become aware of them and replace them now with intentional thinking. And this program, these tiny programs or tendencies or mind patterns, they work a bit as being, no, they create the base of our reality. And it's like saying, even when I don't pay attention or I'm anywhere else, my mind runs upon this program. And if the program says, well, I don't look for solutions, I keep my attention on the problem, or I feel stuck easily, or if these are the basic programs that run, then the entire mind will go into that direction.
Hmm.
And then definitely during the next situation that will come into our life, we will not be able to find the right solution. So it's so useful to meditate, mostly to observe these tendencies, these mind tendencies, and to be able to ask the question, are they serving us? Are those mind tendencies useful? What do they bring to me? Do they resonate with me? And do they help me to reach my purpose in life? Or do they at least allow me to find my purpose? Because I hear so many people saying, I have no purpose, or I don't know which is my purpose, or I haven't found it yet.
Mm.
So are all these mind tendencies, are they useful? So this is why meditation is such an amazing tool. It allows us, it helps us to make space in our mind. And when we create a bit of space, then we can see better what is there. And we can see better some of the information that we have as well in our subconscious mind. And it's like entering a room. Let's say you enter the room of a person who is really has a passion for books. So this person has books all over the place, all over the place. There is not any space in the room, even on the bed, even on the desk, even on everything and everywhere there are books. And you cannot really see something. So even this person, when he or she enters the room, cannot really find the book that he would love to read. And now let's say that one day this person decides that, oh, okay, let's do something and let's create some space here, and maybe this will help me to organize better. And then definitely as the books come out of the room and the space is done, the person will be able to reach any object faster and to decide this is useful for me and this is not useful for me. Maybe I wish to keep these books, maybe these ones I don't wish to keep, maybe this object is useful, maybe this just takes from the space of my own room. So this is what meditation does. It's a great tool for allowing one to see what it is there within and what are those basic programs that run, and replace them with intentional thinking that serves one. And this doesn't happen just like that. It doesn't really happen, in a second. It takes time. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes a strong determination. But when it happens, it happens in an amazing way.
So, Octavia, give us an example of if you're meditating and you get the negative thought and you want it to become an intentional thought. What, like, run us through what your example would be of how you would turn that around.
Well, let's say you sit in meditation and there will be always thoughts coming in and out. And at one point, one thought says, well, I'm really worried for this to happen. I'm really worried for losing a great amount of money, let's say so. And then one would just see this thought as it is. No, it's just a thought. It's just an information, an electric impulse translated into language. It doesn't have any other value at all. And one has always the choice, do I observe this and let it go, or do I want to create something with it? And if I don't want to create something with it, and I know that it's not even serving me, then I will just allow the thought to disappear. I will not give it any more attention. Or if it is a repetitive thought, then I know that it has a great potential for creating something. At least it does create fear all the time, which is already a lot into one system. So I would notice that, I will write it down, and next time when it pops up into my mind, I will realize and tell to myself, this is not a functional thought. I do not create through it. It's not a tool for creating something that is really aligned with my intuition.
Okay.
So next time when it pops up, I would not believe it. I sometimes I can even say, I don't believe you, or I do not project you in any way, or sometimes I say no projection. And then at one point it doesn't come back. Definitely it doesn't come back because there is no one there to believe in it. And it's like a child coming back to you asking for candies once, twice, three times. But if you don't give candies, the child will not come back. And
Right.
it's the same with the thought pattern. If you recognize it and you don't believe it, it will come back once, twice, three times out of that strong conditioning.
Hmm.
But it will not stay there forever. It will actually definitely go away.
Is that a good time also to look through the fear as well? Like if it does feel like there's an emotion of fear, to deal with it at the time and go, okay, okay, it's coming from fear. Where is this fear coming from? And dealing with the fear as well at that time.
Definitely, because fear would be part of the process, will be part of what the present moment brings. And if there is fear there, might be any kind of thought attached to it. But if there is fear or any other emotion, it's very useful to feel it, to really experience it, to surrender to it, and even to point out to it and say, I see you. I see there is fear. I see that I experience fear right now, and that's fine. And that's fine. I might feel terrible right now, and that's fine. And in this way, we surrender to that emotion, we feel it, and we allow it to transform. And with it as well, we change that mind tendency. And next
Mhm.
time it doesn't create the same thing.
Right.
Next time it doesn't pull down our vibrational state and our
Mm-hmm.
mood.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's so important to have this mind control. But it's not something that someone who doesn't have the mind control can do. So you would hear psychologists, and I myself, I'm a cognitive behavioral psychologist. So I have been trained to actually teach people to write down their thoughts and then to train them what is a functional thought and what is a non-functional thought and how to change them. And I can tell you, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And all the studies up there, they will tell you out there, they will tell you quite the same thing. And they will tell you, yes, because of the relationship with the therapist, there are quite some good results, but because of this, not because of the technique. And this is because if the mind is not clear enough, if the mind is not steady enough, if we don't have control over it, then you cannot change those patterns. So the psychologist might tell you many times, recognize that thought is not functional for you, change it with another one which is functional, and it won't work. It won't work because if the mind is the one that has control and it creates whatever wishes to create, it will definitely continue to do so. And that's where meditation or mindfulness technique come in.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the ones that help us to gain that control over the mind. And that's different from just, change your thoughts into more functional ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we would be able to do it, we would all do it. Because we all know those repetitive patterns that harm us. We all know them, but we don't have the necessary tools to actually change them. And one of those tools, and I'm sure that there are many other, but one of those is meditation. And it's that tool that directly and actively help us to gain control over the mind. And this means that when the mind comes in and the mind says, well, I'm so afraid of, dropping my financial status or whatever, then you just see the thought and you let it go. And that's
Yes.
nothing. You
Yes.
can even say, now I keep the mind still and get it completely empty for as long as you wish to. And that's something that you would hear most of the good spiritual teachers that happily we have nowadays on our planet. You always hear them saying, well, the mind, you don't use it when you don't use it. When you don't need it, you don't use it. It shouldn't be used all the time. It's
Mm-mm.
really like a computer, which you use it when you need it.
Right.
And this kind of control is attained through meditation in just a few months of practice, stable practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can tell exactly when you wish to have an empty mind, when you wish to be restful, So you can actually feel that inner peace and joy, which are always there within. So you can then choose those intentional thoughts and say, now I wish to create this. So I will focus my attention on this thought, and I will see how through my action and everything else, I will manifest it.
Yeah.
That's very different from I wish to create this, but I'm not sure. Maybe I can, maybe I cannot. I feel fear, I feel wish, but don't know in what direction will go. It's very different. It's very different. The mind of a meditator will say, I wish to create that, and that will be created, and that's it. It's not, maybe it can, maybe it cannot. And, it doesn't work like this because the mind is very focused. It knows exactly what to create.
Yeah, yeah. And when you're meditating, because you're focusing on that specific thought, it's going to grow. So be very mindful. If you're concentrating on that negative thought, you need to change your course of action because you're just manifesting. You're putting more and more energy on it, more energy, and it's gonna manifest. So
But
you've got to be
firstly,
so mindful of
f-
the thoughts.
Firstly, I would say that it easily manifests our mood. It's the first thing that it manifests. A negative thought automatically changes our mood. Like before starting to affect our actions, to affect our um, connection with our environment and so on, it will affect our mood. And the thought that says I cannot do this, or I have an unhappy life, or I don't like this, and it's carried just for a few minutes, automatically will already change our mood.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why you'd like to choose those thoughts wisely is because we all wish to be happy. We all wish to have a peaceful mood. We all wish to feel love, to radiate, to be able to connect heart to heart with one another.
Yeah.
So we would like actually to be able to generate that positive thinking that creates more positivity for us and in our world as well. But it starts from here, and it doesn't happen just because one has an intention of doing it.
Hmm.
So it will need to be done with effort. It will need to be done with practice, and then at one point the mind gets more and more still and empty, and it becomes an instrument. It
Hmm.
becomes an amazing instrument, like it should be.
It is.
Like it
Yeah.
should be. It should be a instrument for ourselves to be able to create our lives as we wish to. But it seems that it became independent. It became as it has its own wish. And it's not normal for the human mind or the human brain, to have its own wish and its own control upon our reality. So I would say that it's really useful. It's really important and amazing as well to be able to keep the mind as we wish to and to work with it as a tool. And
Yes.
it's not easy work. It's not easy work. And even for those who start the work, I can tell you that there are so many things that can pop up on this journey. And I, I, I saw meditators who would use meditation as an escape tool, because they feel better when they meditate. They reach that emptiness, but then they don't do anything actively with the mind. So when that emptiness disappears, all the negative thoughts come back. And because the effort is not put there all the time, then the mind is the same. And
Hmm.
it's just stopped as it stopped when we watch television or so on. So I saw people doing that out of meditation. I saw people who, consider meditation kind of relaxation or something when they should feel peaceful. But actually, meditation is about facing the reality as it is. It has nothing to do with feeling blissful from the beginning or feeling really joyful or so on, which will anyway won't happen in the beginning, because one will become aware of all the negativity of the mind, and that cannot be pleasant for anyone.
Mhm.
So I would say that anyway, in the beginning, it's really important to take these steps and to have the patience and to observe and not to identify with the mind until it gets clearer and clearer and so
Yeah, and
on.
not beating yourself up. I'm not doing this right. Oh, I'm thinking again.
Of
Stop
course,
beating yourself
of
up.
course.
Don't give it negative thinking. And I would also say, before you start the meditation, put the intention of I'm going to meditate to whatever the reason why you're meditating. I'm going to meditate to be at peace. I'm going to meditate to be in the now moment. I'm going to meditate to clear my thoughts. I'm going to meditate, whatever it is. Start your meditation with the intention already.
I would say that a great intention for beginners would be to say, I sit in meditation to see what is there within myself.
Very good.
And I'm just curious to see what is there within myself, which means that I'm not going to reject anything.
Right.
I'm not going to attach to anything, just going to observe, to become aware of what is there within myself.
Perfect.
And another great tool would be to actually, when we sit in meditation, to use an alarm that gets us out of meditation.
Oh, okay.
Because if not, one will say, I'm going to see it and I see how much I resist today. I see how much I can do today. But actually, when they stand up, when they close their meditation, that is a reaction of the mind to something which is unpleasant. And they don't wish to create this pattern in meditation. They don't wish to stand up, to close their meditation because the mind has noticed something unpleasant. And then it says, that's it. Until now I could meditate, now that's finished. That's why we usually set an alarm, so we know exactly that we finish the meditation when the alarm rings, not when the mind says so.
Mm.
And another important thing for setting an alarm is for not going to sleep during meditation, because that is another wrong pattern that can be created. Oh, I'm very tired usually, so I sit in meditation and I relax and then I fell asleep. Well, yes, if you meditate to fall asleep, that's fine. But if you meditate to actually clear the mind and to bring it into the present moment, then you would wish not to fall asleep and not to create that pattern. Because then whenever drowsiness will come, then at one point one will say, okay, now I go to sleep. And this pattern will increase and then will not allow one to meditate. And then there is the other thing that might happen, and that is I become very much attached to how I feel during meditation, to any pleasure that I get from meditation. And that's
The other side.
the other side. That's still duality. It just says, oh, now I don't reject my emotions and so on. Now I get really attached to feeling blissful and happy, and this is what I'm looking for. And it's still the mind story. It's still the mind story, and it's exactly the same story, actually. So that's why we usually say in meditation, after we gain quite some control over the mind, that no thought is a good thought. And we say no thought which is random, no thought is a good thought. There is no more positivity nor negativity. At one point, a meditator learns to stop the mind all the time when the mind is not needed. Because if we allow the mind to go on positive thinking, at one point, it will not be under control anymore. So we don't allow it just to think because it thinks positively.
Ah,
And it's the same thing that happens in meditation. Even if it attaches to something which is pleasant, it goes in the same direction. It's still in duality. And now instead of opposing what was unpleasant, it clinges to what is pleasant. And it's exactly the same game, a game that we don't want to play.
it's
So
just to be an observer. Really, ultimately, the goal is to become an observer, right?
Yeah, it's to be an observer of whatever happens, and to get out of the, to get out the idea it happens to me, and to replace it with it happens. It happens. It doesn't happen to me. It happens. And
Mhm.
being in the observer role allows one to notice it as it happens. So I would just like to talk for a few more minutes about that feeling of being in the flow all the time. Because so many people ask me, well, how do I maintain this state? Okay, I've noticed through my meditation practice, what does it mean to be present? What does it mean to have a clear mind, to find solutions all the time, to reach my goals as I want to reach them, and so on. But they will, yeah, sometimes they would wish to, um, they would wish to know how it is to stay there, how it is to feel that flow all the time, how it is to keep that high vibrational state all the time. And I would say that it's a continuous work. So once one has gained the control over the mind, one stays there. The practice doesn't stop.
Exactly. It's almost like
It's
living in a constant meditation of being just
exactly.
aware, of being aware, of being in the now moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Observing.
might it might be that for a very well experienced meditator, the meditation will not take so much place, in a formal way, like a standing meditation, or um, any walking meditation, yoga. It might be very much replaced by the state in which we continuously meditate, which means we are continuously present, which means we watch the mind all the time. There is no gap there. There is no, I lose it now for 3 days and I go back to it. And this is how we usually stay in that flow. Because when the mind is empty, when we work with intentional thinking, when we allow our emotions to be processed immediately, like each moment, instead of storing them up in the subconscious mind or the emotional system, this is when we feel happy. This is when we feel present. But that's continuous work. So I hear
Yeah.
people saying, oh, how can I be in that flow? And then I say, well, be present. But to be present, it is a kind of continuous work to do. You are present, which means that you're aware each and every moment of each thought. You're aware of where your attention goes continuously. You're aware of your own purpose. You're aware of your own body, of your own intuition, of everything that happens internally. And of course, in the same time, you stay aware and in touch with everything else. So that's a work. That's a work. And it's not an unpleasant one. It's not something that you do with a lot of effort, because at one point it becomes quite effortlessly, but it's still something that it is done continuously.
Hmm.
So when people ask this question, how do I stay in the flow? Well, I would say, how you reach the flow, this is how you stay in the flow. You want to stay there, then you continue your work in the same way. You don't stop. You don't stop. You stop only when the mind is not there anymore. Only when the mind has stopped completely. There is no more thought. There is no more separation. There is no more perception of duality. Then there will be no one to stop. And the question will not come up anymore. Until then, there is always an ongoing process. And it's a beautiful one because it brings new experiences. It brings deeper and deeper states of presence that come with deeper states of blissfulness and happiness and so
Yeah.
on. So it's not really kind of work that we do with so much effort and so on. But in the beginning, yes, in the beginning, to start this process and to break that condition, it will need effort. It will need effort. And that's why you don't see many people doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. But if they really want to get to the place where you have it all, and you know, the you've worked through all your shadows. It's worth it, guys. It really is so worth it. I mean, I never thought I could experience such joy and happiness.
Well, I think it's very much motivating because so many people live in fear all the time. And you know, even if there are worries now or not, there are still in the subconscious mind. And there is still a certain fear there. And that fear is a normal one. It says, when my mind is not clear, everything can happen. No, it's based on something real.
Hmm.
But as one gains the control over the mind, as one gains the control over the subconscious mind, that fear just disappears. And it
Hmm.
disappears in such a natural way because there is no reason anymore to fear that you create that which you do not want to create.
Right.
And this is what it actually means to gain control. And it doesn't mean that now I'm going to, you know, you're going to realize all your amazing dreams and so on. It's not always about that. It's mostly about knowing that you can remain detached, that you can actually find that place within yourself, that place of unconditional love, of pure awareness, and remain perfectly detached of everything else. And that generates happiness. That's real happiness. That inner happiness that says it's mine, it's here, it's not dependent on something. It's not even dependent on what happens in my life, on how healthy I am, on this and that and so on. It's there and it's what I truly am. And this is how fear dispels. This is how it changes. This is
Mm.
how we 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 start experiencing this reality in a very different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be a very good reason to actually determine people to do it, to gain that control over themselves, over their minds. And I know that they don't like the term control. I know it, and sometimes that's why I'm using it, because it's a difference there. The mind has already control upon you. It already has it. And when I say upon you, I refer to, you know, the human mind, the
Hmm.
majority.
Hmm.
It already has control. If you don't see it and you don't accept it, it doesn't mean that it's not there. And when I say you take the control, I actually say allow yourself to create your reality as you wish to. Do not give that control to someone else, not even to your mind.
Right.
So even if people sometimes, you know, will get disturbed with this term, saying, "Oh, control is not a nice one." Well, this is what your minds do. They have control over you,
Yes.
and because of that control, you'll see chaos, and you'll see fear, and you'll see tragic things happening, and so on. And you'd wish to gain that control. You'd wish to gain it, because then everything else comes into order. I promise, everything
Yeah.
else comes into order.
Yeah. For
You will
sure.
not see, you know, a bunch of meditators being really happy and really joyful just like that. You know, it's not a brainwashing that takes place there. You see them being really happy because they are present. They
Hmm.
are present. They know that nothing bad can happen. I am pure presence. And
Beautiful.
all that happiness that I was running for so many years, I just discovered that it's here, it's inside, and it has always been there. I generate my own happiness. It's not something else from outside that creates it.
Hmm.
But that's a huge difference between I run after happiness, therefore my state of being is always influenced about what happens outside. Maybe today I'm happy because I gained that. Tomorrow I will be unhappy because my desires were not so much fulfilled as yesterday, and so on. And that's a huge difference when one says happiness is here and it's all the time, and I live it all the time. I feel it all the time. And therefore, I'm not looking for it outside. I'm not running to it from outside anymore.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference. That's a huge difference.
It
And
is.
one would really wish to achieve that.
Absolutely. I can speak from experience. Not that I have not that I have manifested being an excellent meditator, because I get thoughts all the time. But I'm being, like you say, intentional. So I'm making sure that when it does happen, that going, I'm sending my energy where I want it to be. So,
Yeah,
um,
I would say that this is a very important step for any meditator. That
mhm,
even when the mind is full, and once more, it shouldn't the goal of meditation shouldn't be to get rid of the thoughts. Because
right,
if this is the goal of meditation, then when thoughts rise up, one will reject them. And this is exactly the opposite of what a true meditator would do. So the goal is not that, it's an effect. The
right,
mind gets emptier and emptier in meditation after a stable practice. And that's an effect of it. But when the thoughts are there, we just observe them as they are. We allow them to come and go. We notice their impermanent nature. We do not cling to them. We do not engage with them. We do not believe them. And then we can start working with intentional thoughts, and we can start select them, and we can start focusing the mind on what we wish to focus. So that would be a very, very useful practice.
yes, for sure. Um, and so, Octavia, we're out of time, but I did want to mention about your book, because I'm very excited about it.
Thank you very much. I would try to show it. I'm not sure how much you can see it. You can
Oh, there
probably.
we go. The Palladian Workbook for Ascension. Okay.
So it's really a workbook. It means that it functions as a journey of shifting the inner frequency. It's very much related to mindfulness, meditation, and bringing the Pleiadian frequencies as well. So one can be helped on his or her own journey to actually reach that path, and to be able to meditate, to be able to manifest, and to liberate themselves from suffering. So this function as a journey into the fifth dimension, which means that we shift from the perception of the three-dimensional thinking, which is based on fear, going towards the fifth dimensional thinking, which is based on it's intentional, firstly, and it's rooted in unconditional love. And this workbook is actually a collection of exercises that I've channeled during these 2 or 3 years of channeling. And as well, it has light codes, which are images that were channeled with specific intentions for one to be able to have access to different frequencies.
Yeah, I have that one on my phone. That's my wallpaper. That's what I see every time I open my phone.
So I'm very happy. That's very useful to bring it on the screen.
Yes, very.
As well, it has all these pages where one can write. So it's a bit like a diary, and one can say how was the exercise and what was the experience, and what was the shift that one has noticed. And until the end of the book, actually, it gets the energy builds up, and all the energy tools that I've channeled during these years are also presented and brought in the book, so one can has access to these short but very useful guided meditations. And then until the end of it, one shall become also not only more present, but more aware of his or her own purpose in life, his or her own mission, and one would have a uplifted vibrational state, a state
Yeah.
of presence, a state in which the mind becomes clearer, and state in which one maybe starts to channel. There is one of the last chapters is focused on, and it's called Let's Channel Together. So, and all this is brought mostly through the frequencies, through the energy that this book brings. It's not only a workbook or a written material, but it's a channel material. So for most of you who are very much accustomed already with channel material, it means that once you open it, you already started to feel it. You already started to embody, to download information from it. So it works through you and it works for you. So
Beautiful.
for this reason, I'm very happy to present it, and I hope you will enjoy it. You will find it since tomorrow. You're going to find it on Amazon.
So tomorrow, March 2nd,
Tomorrow,
2023.
March 2nd, yes, will be the first day. This is just a copy for authors, so I took it today. I've checked it a bit, and tomorrow will be already available. And it's called the Pleiadian Workbook for Ascension, Pleiadian Tools for Integrating the New Earth Frequencies by Octavia Basile. You will find it easily, hopefully.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So I'm very
Awesome,
happy.
Octavia. That's magnificent. I'm so happy that you put that information into a book. That's what we need. That's what, you know, humanity needs for sure. So I'm excited.
Thank you very much. I'm also very, very glad very much delighted to be able to bring it. And I hope in a few months we will have the second workbook as well, because they are building up a certain vibration. And they said that the ones I channeled, they said that in a few months we're going to have a second one, second volume.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Awesome. All right, Octavia, thank you so, so much for coming here and helping me spread the word of how we get people to that perfect state um, of just being in the now moment. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And as always, I'm very much available for all those who have questions, mostly questions about the meditation practice, or maybe questions related to what I've channeled lately as well. But I would really love to answer to any questions related to your meditation practice. So thank you
Wonderful.
very much.
And Octavia, how can they find you?
Oh, they can find me easily on the Pleiadian Transmissions of Light and Love on Facebook. And it's still the website. My website is still a work in progress. So as soon as it is done, you will even have access to a membership, so then you can have access to my events and recordings and so on. But meanwhile, you can easily find me on the Facebook page, and as well, if you send me a private message there, we also have a smaller and cozy group on Telegram, a group of light workers, and you can join us there as well to connect your mission with ours. And as well, if you want to join the events that take place on Monday and Thursday, you're very much welcome. And then just send a private message, and I'm going to share the link further.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Thank you, Octavia. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you soon.